The better time was to start then. The best time is to start now. Starting something is very difficult for most of us, even though we know it is what should be done. We just don't seem to do it for some reason. And one of the biggest excuses we make up is, it's too late for me now. This is the worst excuse one could possibly make because he is essentially saying, I have officially run out of time and I am incapable of doing anything with the little time I have left. If only he realized how much time he actually had, he wouldn't be thinking this. I'm going to discuss this through a story, just to show you the absurdity of such thoughts. Okay? Say you have an upcoming exam, and it's a very difficult one, on a topic you barely understand, but you're at the very least familiar with the topic. Like if I showed you something, you'd be able to relate. You want to study a week prior because of how difficult you think it is. Let's schedule your exam on May 24th, and the time of the release of this video is the time you want to begin, May 17th, exactly a week from now, okay? You have been watching study motivational videos and you feel more ready than ever to begin. You sit at your desk and open your book. You look at the material and just find it unappealing, like you just don't want to look at it. You can't even begin to imagine how gruesome studying this material would be because it just looks so unappealing. Your motivation is completely drained by the time you are done reading the first line. You realize that you'll have to put in the hard work, and the hard work is not going to be fun, it's just going to be straight up boring. I've got a week. It's okay, I can start later. I'll start at 3 p.m. You say to yourself, actually believing that you will start at 3 p.m. Anyways, 3 p.m. rolls around and you still haven't studied. You sit at your desk and open your book. You look at the time, it's 3:01 p.m. Hey, it's 3 p.m. As you imagined, you should be studying, shouldn't you? You can start right now and actually be able to finish something, but you don't. You keep procrastinating with the excuse of, maybe I'll learn something new about it in class, or I'm going to rest today so that I can be at my maximal energy tomorrow and use that to study. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. You convince yourself that that's what you're going to actually do. You keep procrastinating and you find reasons not to study until it's the weekend. You decide to take Friday off to reward yourself for the hard work you've been doing. You spend the entire day doing absolutely nothing but mindless scrolling and maybe looking at the book every once in a while, just glancing at it as it lays on the table waiting for you. You look at it, you say, hey, I want to begin. You get up, you sit at your desk, you open the book, and you find the same unappealing material you found the first time. You just can't fathom studying this. You just close it and go back to whatever you were doing. You wake up the next morning. It's Saturday, May 21st, and you still haven't studied for your exam. You have been procrastinating for 3 days, and this is going to inevitably be the fourth. I've already wasted 3 days thinking I'll study. What's a fourth going to change? You think to yourself. You start getting demotivated and decide it's too late for you to start despite having 3 days left. Studying for the exam shouldn't take more than a day. If the material is really, really, really difficult and you really don't understand it and you're unable to grasp it, maybe 1 or 2 days, but not more than that. You aren't trying to find the secrets of the universe, you just have a math test coming up and you haven't studied for it. You keep thinking to yourself, if I had started earlier, when I wanted to start, I would have been finished by now. And yes, you would have. You have gotten to a point where you desire going back to May 17th because it seems so far away. It seems like you have so much time. But you are certain, you have gone to the point, you are certain that if you were to go back to that date right here, right now, you would study. We both know for a fact that you would keep finding excuses, and hell, you shouldn't even bother to find excuses. You have already made them up. They are just a given because you have already been there and done that. You've already gone through this. You begin having an existential crisis and mourn at the lost time, not realizing you have more time than enough to study. If only I had begun back then, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be in this situation, you think to yourself, and Frankly, yeah, you wouldn't be in this situation if you had started back then. But what's holding you back from starting right now? The answer is yourself. You don't realize how scarce of a resource time is. You are wasting time thinking about the time you had spent. Let me ask you something. Would you throw out some good food because some food went bad? Like, does that make sense? Of course not. Are you stupid? Who would do that? You are incapable of realizing how valuable Saturday, May 21st is to you at the moment, and you continue to make up excuses and feel bad for not studying throughout the day. Time is passing by, and you are feeling guiltier and guiltier by the day. Finally, the time that will push you to study whether you like it or not has arrived. The day just before the exam. It's Monday, May 23rd. You are back from school, you are panicking. You are still feeling guilty about the last time, thinking to yourself, if only I had studied, not even on May 17th, but Saturday or even Sunday would have been great. You're starting to bargain with yourself. You're like, this would have been great, this would have been great, but you don't see what you have. You see what's happening? You're beginning to value the time you lost. The day you once thought of as unimportant is, and too late for me, is the day you are helplessly wishing to go back to. What does this remind you of? You did the same thing on Saturday. You didn't realize the value of the time you had until you lost it. This is one of the biggest problems of modern society. We don't realize how important and valuable time is until we uninevitably lose it. You see, when you were first deciding to study for your exam, you thought, hey, I still have all the time in the world. It's okay if I don't start now. And that's okay to think to a certain extent. What I want to shed the light on is what you did on Saturday, which was mourning the time you had lost and wishing you'd go back. We both know if you had begun on Saturday, you would have been done by the day before the test and you wouldn't have to settle with cramming. Look at what you were doing on Saturday and ask yourself, is this what future me would want me to do? Like, future me who's going to have to cram because of my inability to study. I know this sounds harsh, but it is the truth. Your inability to study is causing you to cram. Your inability to begin is causing you to cram. And you're not gonna do good on the test. You're just cramming right before it. Of course you're not gonna do good. You see, the better time to start was on Tuesday, May 17th, one whole week before the exam. But the better time was to start is right now, is when you still have time as an expendable resource.